What's up, my dude? Ski King Viper 199. I appreciate that membership, big dog. Got a little connection to Travis Pastrana. Little 199. Anytime I see that number, that's automatically what I think. Spitzy boy at the Quad Daddy, bro. Anyways, bro, King Viper 199, appreciate the membership, means the world to me. Just letting you boys know, I will be coming out with a members-only video every single month. So if you're interested in that, all you got to do is hit the join button on my front page, and you'll see everything that you get with that. Okay, so I try to do some special videos for the members-only videos, like certain kind of videos that I don't normally make on my channel. Whoop daddies, bro. That's what this video is all about right here. So we're actually taking it back a little bit because RF actually made this 2023 Oakland track back like a week before they were supposed to have the real life one. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit confusing here, but we're going back and taking a look at it nonetheless because I never made a video on it before. But I just wanted to really talk about this track because this is one of them that I do feel like was made a little bit more towards that like pro level skill gap, especially the whoop sections on this track. I mean, if you compare the whoops on this track to their Tampa track from last week, it's like not even in the same sort of stratosphere of skill gap and difficulty. Like these whoops right here, you can't be no beginner. You can't be no, little sissy boy and try to get through these whoops. Like, you better be sucking that T down, dog. You better be confident. You better be on the gas. You better be knowing what the hell you're doing, or you won't even be able to get around this track. That is like a complete polar opposite end of the spectrum of what their track was from last week, their Tampa track, where the whoops were smaller, they were closer together, and just that whole track as a whole, I feel like it just didn't have that danger level. It didn't have that, AMA Supercross sort of size to the obstacles to really give you that kind of separation on the track. You know what I mean? But this track right here is a perfect example of when you start to get a little bit more of that. For instance, the whoop sections on this track, it's almost like you either have to roll through them or you have to get on the gas through them. There's not a whole lot of in between. And that's how you know if a whoop section is really to that pro level skill gap or like that 2017 style pro level difficulty to the whoops. You know what I mean? That's how you know. When you can't just hit it at any kind of speed and still survive, that's how you know the whoops have proper kinds of skill gap, okay? That is a prime, perfect, sort of gauge that you can go by. And if, like, for instance, if you go back to their track from last week, their Tampa track, just for instance, okay, you can hit those whoops any kind of speed that you want to. You can hit them slow. You can hit them kind of half-assed medium speed. You can hit them, somewhat on the throttle, but not full throttle. You can hit them completely full throttle. You can hit them any kind of way you want to, and the whoops just weren't big enough in combination of the actual feeling of the dirt being hard enough to where it gave you enough of that skill gap where the bike actually tries to, deflect and bounce off of each whoop enough to the point to give you that kind of skill gap, okay? But these two whoop sections, especially because they're back-to-back and it's got a dragon's back, Spency boy rapping out here, bro. But all that back-to-back, I feel like really created a lot of good separation on this track right here. You can't even get around this track if you don't know how to go through whoops. You know what I mean? It's like a requirement to even get around this track. So that eliminates all them beginner players, the lower end of the spectrum of the amateur riders. I'm sure still some of the faster amateurs could probably get through these whoops. Probably not super consistently, but still. Even this rhythm section right here, there's multiple different options. There's quad options. There's different things to hit. This track right here is a good example of how you don't necessarily have to have crazy big scaling to create skill gap on a track. Now, one big problem that there is on this track, this was back when they were still doing the whole invisible wall fiasco, so just take you a little look at this. Oh, you want to try to jump the finish line, triple the finish line? Nope. There's going to be a magical invisible wall. There's a sniper up in the stands that's going to shoot you off your bike like you're playing one of the milestone games and you try to whip, okay? Or you try to pull back on the bike, you know what I mean? Like if you play the first Supercross game and you really pull back on the bike, you just pop off for no reason. That's very similar to what's going on here. But it does seem like all the rounds after this one, it seems like RF is finally starting to learn that lesson that invisible walls suck. It's not more realistic. Again, I don't understand how putting something that would never happen on a real-life Supercross track, yeah, let's put that on an MX simulator track and it'll make it more realistic, guys. Like, what? What the fuck? So anyways, that's the magical invisible wall fiasco. They think that it's going to be unrealistic if you triple the finish line, but it's not as unrealistic if you have a magical invisible wall that pops you off the bike. You know. Anyways, so the way you would have prevented that, the way you could have made this where you didn't have an invisible wall is, I don't know, maybe come in here and do a little bit of pre-made, you know, that thing that they have on the first lap of the real-life main events, you know, that Ruts, roughness, character, you know, if you watch the Oakland 450 main event, did you see the ruts in the corners on the very first lap before they ever even rutted up the track at all? During the main event, okay, we're still talking about the first lap. There were ruts going up the jump faces. The whoops had like, you know, cupped out little spots on them. That would have made these whoops so cool. That's the only complaint I have about these whoop sections. I mean, I feel like they're big enough and skill gapped enough to where it creates that sort of separation. But what would have made them even better is if you would have came in here and like cupped out some of the whoops, or you put some micro ruts in some of the whoops. Like, let me see if I can do that real quick, just to do you a little quickie. Smitzy boy about to do you a little quickie, bro. Let's see, what do we got here? I haven't done this shit in forever, so bear with me. Okay. Let's just do a little bit of this action, see what we can come up with right quickski. Little right quickski, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know what I mean? A little bit of, that's probably a little too strong, but it's all good, broskies. Okie dokie. Okay. Just mocking this up real quick for RF. Little something you might could do, you know what I mean? Gonna go through here and smooth this out a little bit. You know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it is. Okay, a little something like this right here. You know what I mean? What the hell's going to kill you doing this on some of your whoop sections every once in a while? I can do it in 2.2 seconds, RF. It's not hard to put pre-made on these tracks. What are you doing? This looks a lot more like how the whoops looked on the actual Oakland, you know, 450 main event. This is a lot more like what they looked like, even on lap 1. This is a lot more like what they actually looked like than, you know, this perfectly rounded, perfectly prepped, like you're on the very first heat race of a 250 heat race. Okay, like nobody's rode on the track at all, but this is still the track that you start off with in the main events on MX Simulator. So it would make more sense to have the whoops that looked more like this right here on the first lap than it would to have the perfectly smoothed off, rolled off shit. I mean, I literally came in here and did this in 5 seconds, RF. I made your track look more like the real life Oakland track in 5 seconds. It's not that hard. Put some fucking character on these tracks. I'm not saying you got to make every single whoop section like this. You know, it's okay to every once in a while have some whoops that are a little more down the prepped, or like they didn't get as ruddy or as gnarly as the real live track. That's okay to have some of these. I'm just saying put some variation to it. Spice this shit up a little bit. Do something with these tracks instead of just continuing to do this perfectly smooth, perfectly prepped, not a single rut, not a single stitch of roughness, not a single stitch of character. Spitzy boy, bro, when you've been saying it for this long, it's like you just run out of shit to say, you know what I mean? But this is a lot more like what it would have actually been like in the real 450 main event on the first lap, okay? That would have created a lot more of the actual skill gap, had a little bit of cupped out ruts and, you know, character to the sections, you know what I mean? And let me come in here and show you what they could have done to fix this finish line jump right here, okay? So they could have came in here and... let me just see. Let me just see if I can kind of mock this up a little bit, okay? Maybe Smitty boy gonna try to do a little bit right here, you know what I mean? Let's do some ruts over the finish line jump. We'll see kind of what that does. Okay. Maybe some rut vibes going through this corner. Just creating a little bit of character. It's not that hard to do. I don't know why RF acts like it's this extremely, you know, difficult thing to do. I have no idea. Spency boy making some gnarly shit right here, but we're just mocking this up just very quickly. You know, I'm just trying to show you what you can do in a very quick, very quick portion of time. But RF doesn't want to do this because it's more work. It takes a little bit of effort to come in here and actually do a little bit of pre-made. Let's just see what we got here. That's probably a little bit extreme, but let's just see a little bit of what we got here, okay? Look at this right here. This would be a little more like, obviously, that's probably a little bit extreme. That would be like at the very end of the main event, you know what I mean? But still, you can come in here and smooth it out even more. Come in here like this. You know, having something just to like this level right here. Just this kind of character right here is all you need in some of your corners. That's all you need, RF. If you'd have done this right here and had a little bit of rut vibes going up the jump face, you know, something on the jump face, and you even could have, what you could have done as well is you could have came out here and like made this triple, like the start of this jump right here, you could have extended it a little bit farther and ramped it up a little bit where it would have made it too risky to even try to hit in the first place, right? Like you could have came through here, Spitzy boy, doing RF's job for him, bro. RF's job for him, bro. This is the problem when you get all caught up in that making it exactly around the, like a track map track. You know what I mean? But you basically would have just came in here and like ramped this up a little bit. You know, ramp this first jump up a little bit right here to where people can't just like easily land off of it, you know? You would have came in here and done something a little bit like this. Okay? Again, I'm mocking this up very quickly. This is not like, let me go in here and actually do this exactly properly. But you would come in there and do something a little more like that. You know? You'd build that jump up a little bit more. See that right there? Therefore, it would be impossible to triple this. You know? That's how you build a track properly where you don't have to have invisible walls and the track still works right. Okay? That's how you do it. That's how you make whoops that have a little bit of character. It's like, what are you trying to do, RF? Are you just trying to have terrain deformation, or are you trying to make this as realistic as it possibly can be? Like, I'm confused. It's like everything is so built around the Erode system that they forget they can come in here and make whoops like this that actually have character. Or they can put, you know, some kind of pre-made rut in the corner. It's like they've totally pushed all this under the rug, eliminated all this as even being a possibility, like even being a way to build their tracks because of the Erode system. It's just insane, bro.